Hello, I'm Rachel, shamanic energy worker and transformational coach. And I thought I would share a video this week all around complacency and taking life for granted, namely on my own personal experiences that have happened in these past few weeks. So it all kind of started with hearing from my brother and finding out that he was unwell and was admitted to hospital waiting a CT scan. So that was last week. That was on the Monday evening, and then on the Tuesday it was the anniversary of my mum's birthday, and my mum passed away with cancer 4 years ago. And that already got me reflecting on how much my brother lives so much, well, he lives in the same city as me, but how I wasn't making the effort to see him, spend time with him, ask how he was. And we hadn't spoken for a few months, and then to get that call and him being quite ill kind of was a bit of a shock to the system and made me realise how I was probably I was acting with complacency and taking life a little bit for granted. And then again, that reminder on that Tuesday about my mum passing and it being her birthday, how many times I had took her for granted and had complacency around our relationship. Maybe there were times when mum would phone me and I would get so frustrated that she was phoning me. It was inconvenient as I felt at that time. Yet now 4 years on, there's nothing I wouldn't give for one of those annoying phone calls from my blessed mum. And then this week, yesterday, my son-in-law and granddaughter were involved in a car accident, not through their own fault, through another vehicle speeding and ploughing into them. And if you saw the car, it's a write-off, it's a wreck, and they're both lucky to be here. So again, realising the last time I hugged my granddaughter and gave her a kiss and told her I loved her, you never think that could ever be the last time. Thankfully, it wasn't, and it's not. And the same with my son-in-law. The catastrophe that would cause to our family of losing him and losing Ruby would have been immense. And again, I guess we all fall into complacency, don't we, and take things for granted. And I was very much in that place. Even though I practice a lot of gratitude and I give thanks every day, I just got to think, have I really been putting my heart and soul into that? Because I do a morning meditation where I visualise my family, I visualise my daughter, I visualise my son-in-law and my grandchildren, and I send them lots of love. But I kind of thought, on reflection today, I've kind of been going through the motions with that rather than really connecting in with my heart and feeling what it would be like if they were taken, if I just didn't have them in my life anymore. So, yeah, it took me to a deeper level of being grateful and to stop the complacency in life, because the complacency then, it takes away the joy of what life is and the love of what we experience in life. So I wanted to give that share, and also to help you. Maybe there's 5 ways that I could share with you. Oh, bless you. Thank you for your comment, Chloe. There's 5 ways I can share with you also where it might be that you can stop taking life for so granted and things, I guess, because we all do it, don't we? We all take certain things for granted, and some more than others. We're so used to the routines, the comfort, the luxuries, and it's practically impossible not to take anything for granted. However, everybody knows that you should try to appreciate the good things in life, no matter how big or small. And that's where a lot of my work has come from, and the way I've evolved is to really have a lot of appreciation in the magic and the gifts of every day. And that's why I refer to it as that, because they are magic and they are gifts, no matter how small. So how do you not take things for granted? And how do you learn to appreciate the good things in your life more? Well, you can prevent yourself from turning into a person that doesn't even know how to say thank you anymore. So I always say thank you. I give thanks to people that I spend time with, whether that be my family, my friends, or people who come to my events or to my offerings. I'm constantly giving thanks. I think that's really, really important to do that. And It's so good not to take things for granted, for multiple reasons. So for me, from a personal perspective, you're less likely to connect with others if you take everything for granted. So, like I just mentioned, if you never say thank you to a friend, that friend will become less likely to support you in times of need because they haven't felt that appreciation. You've become complacent about them being there. So it's just making that little bit of extra effort to be able to do that. And then by taking things for granted, you're reducing the amount of positive feedback that you are sending out around you, to those around you. And after all, if you take everything for granted, why would you ever compliment someone, say, or go out of your way to help somebody? You know, I feel there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of negativity going on in the world at the moment. And, you know, we seem to have lost the ability to help our neighbour, help our friend, help our soul brothers and sisters. You know, what a different way the world would be. Even what's going on currently with the situation over in Europe, and I don't want to get all political about that. I've heard some really not very nice comments being made, you know, but how would you feel if you were in that situation or if it was a relative or loved one of yours? So, yeah, there seems to be a lack of humanity. And I think where that could start building that connection, that human connection again, is just by saying thank you and not taking things for granted and not being complacent. And if everybody around the world took for granted the positive things in life, there would be serious consequences. And people are very quick, aren't they, to acknowledge when they've been let down or when they're disappointed. And they're only good at handing out the negative feedback to one another. Well, the world would lose a lot of positivity if we all went like that. So it's called social reciprocity. I can't say reciprocity, and this is where when people help someone out, the other person is likely to say thanks. So on the other hand, when you give someone an angry look, the other person may become agitated by your actions. So again, even today, I had somebody who had a bit of road rage with me and was screaming, shouting at me, and my windows were up so I couldn't hear what they were saying. I hadn't done anything wrong, but they seemed to be quite an angry person. And I just sat there. I didn't react. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything back. I just didn't do anything. And really, that's the best thing to do, I feel, in these situations. So it's incredibly important not to take things for granted. Not only will it help you make positive connections to those around you, it will also help affect a chain reaction, a ripple effect of positivity. And how good would that be to be able to do that? We're able to then influence those around us and be more positive in the interactions that we have with others. And because gratitude is the answer to that. So if you know someone that makes the most things, takes the most things for granted, you'll think that person is ungrateful. You know. So I wonder if you could give some thought around that. And 5 ways that I've thought about to not take things for granted is about, so how do you actually stop taking things for granted? How do we do that? And how can you actually step up and act like the person you want to be? Because we all need to step up and be the change in the world that we want to see. We all need to do that. So number 1, slow down. You know, everyone's rushing around so much. So if you're constantly in a rush, you're more likely to forget to appreciate the good things in your life. If you want to change, it's important to slow down every once in a while in order to realise how many things there are to be grateful for. Because if you're speeding along, you can never notice these things. So a tip you can use to help you slow down is to stop multitasking. We seem to think that's a great skill to have, and often you hear people posting about that. And it can be good, but while multitasking is bad for more reasons than one, constantly switching between tasks puts you in a distractible state of never being fully present in the now. So in other words, by constantly being busy, you're more likely to take things for granted. So that was number 1, slow down. Number 2 is practice saying thank you. So here's a question for you. Do you say thank you to the server that serves you with your drinks or meal in a restaurant? Or when they ask you how your meal was? Do you interact? Or are you quite dismissive? So if not, that's something that you can change. Even though it's their job to help you, the least you can do is say thank you and be thankful, no matter how much of a formality it is. And this applies to a lot of situations that may seem meaningless. So, give a thumbs up or a wave to another driver that gives way to you. Thank your colleagues for getting you a coffee, maybe. Thank your partner for cooking your dinner this evening. Say thanks to the cashier when you pay for your food shopping. So many different ways that you can do it. But instead, usually we're on this fast path and we've all got to get to the next thing. But we just need to slow down and be more appreciative and thankful, be in that moment of gratitude. And these are some of the easiest things to take for granted as they happen on a daily basis. Not saying thank you doesn't necessarily mean you're not grateful at all. Of course you're not. But it does make you more likely to take things for granted. So expressing gratitude is more important than feeling grateful in these scenarios. So it's by your actions, it's your expression, it's your way of being. And if you're not ever waited tables, I mean, I have. I was a waitress and a bar person many years ago when I was 19 or something. You know how much of a difference it makes to hear a simple thank you just now and then. And you can make the difference to somebody's day by doing that. And number 3 could be that you keep a gratitude journal. And I did start by doing this. I don't tend to do it so much these days, but in the earlier days when I was on my healing path and shedding the anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts, a gratitude journal was a real key tool for me. So it's so easy to take things for granted if we're not even aware of how much good there is in our lives. So that gratitude journaling can help us with that. And all you need to do is just take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes, sit down with a journal, have a cup of tea, and just list the things that you're grateful for. But by practicing gratitude, it has been linked to a direct increase in happiness of 10%. They've done studies on this, and this is what they've found. So it doesn't matter what you're thankful for. All that matters is that you think about it and you acknowledge it with your gratitude. And practicing gratitude, especially when you're unhappy, as I was, keeps us anchored to a more rounded and positive view. So it really shifts your psychology. It really shifts your nervous system. It's really, really powerful. And our emotional subconscious believes whatever narrative our conscious mind feeds it. And this is why incessant worrying can make us feel so bad emotionally. It's also why changing that narrative with gratitude journaling can make us feel better. Gratitude journaling is one of the best ways to not take things for granted. But again, my lesson with that this week is to not just do it as a tick exercise, or I've done it now, but really feel into it, really feel it from your heart space. And number 4 now is stop expecting others to do something for you. And I was very much this person, as I used to be, probably years ago now, but I don't do this anymore. So if you take something for granted, you're really just expecting something to simply be there whenever you need it. And boy, have we created that as a system and a program that we live in. But not only does this hurt your likability, it also exposes you to potential disappointment. So, for example, if you don't think that your waiter in a restaurant, as we'll go back to that example, deserves a simple thank you while expecting top-notch treatment, there's a big chance you'll end up disappointed. You'll say the service here was rubbish. I mean, this is related to the concept of social reciprocity. Oh, I can't say it. Reciprocity that we discussed earlier. So if you're unable to send out positive signals to others, you must realise that others are less likely to do the same for you. And again, it's be the change that you want to see in the world. If you want more positivity, more love, more happiness around you, then you need to start putting that out there first. It all starts with you. You are the chain reaction. You are the ripple effect. So when you lower your expectations, you'll surely find it easier to appreciate the good actions of others. So maybe that's something to think about. And then finally, number 5, be less materialistic and maybe more frugal. So we've mostly discussed the social impact of taking too many things for granted, but there's materialistic side to this story as well. So if you're a materialistic person, you'll probably take more things for granted. So this could be your latest phone. You're always wanting the latest thing, and you're always running the latest software updates. Your social media posts are always receive kind comments and numerous likes, or that you stream your Netflix series in the highest definition, no matter how much that extra costs. So, yeah, whilst these might be silly examples, it means that you're prone to set high expectations. So instead, if you try to be more frugal, you'll learn that these things are luxuries and you will appreciate them more. And as a person that takes most things for granted, as hard times of learning the difference between luxuries and necessities. So one simple tip is to be more frugal. Wait a week before purchasing anything. And if you still want it after that week has passed, then go ahead and buy it, if you can spare the money, of course. This not only helps you manage your personal finances better, but the wait will also help you appreciate whatever it is you want. Then you will finally get your hands on that new gadget or that latest thing that you want, and you won't take it for granted. You will appreciate it. As they're saying, all those good things come to those who wait. And we've seemed to have created a society and a system again that we just get things like that, things need to be worked for and need to be appreciated. So just wrapping up now, always taking things for granted not only makes you less likable, it also stops you from being grateful to others and negatively impacts the effect you have on others. By simply slowing down more and practicing gratitude, you'll find it easier to appreciate all the good you have in life. So I would love to hear from you. So do you have anything that you would like to add to what I've shared today? And do you remember taking everything for granted before that you learned to be more grateful in life, as I did? I know after this last 2 weeks, I will not take my brother, my granddaughter and my son-in-law, any members of my family or friends for granted again. I appreciate them so much, and I'm so thankful to have them in my life. And I will hug them all a little bit harder and say I love you a little more often. So until next time, remember, Pura Vida Your Life, it all starts with you. So Pura Vida.